The first look at the TopRC AT-6. It's a 4-channel Warbird, ready to fly, 450mm wingspan. I have flown a lot of the 400mm wingspan micro Warbirds. I have recently flown 500mm wingspan Warbird, but I have yet to fly one of these 450s. So my experience with TopRC aircraft is that they make some pretty darn good stuff, and I'm betting this will be no exception. This plane was provided courtesy of my friends at Banggood. I want to thank them much for sending this for review. So let's take a look at everything that you get with the plane, and this is truly a ready to fly plane because they even send the 4AA batteries for your transmitter. So you don't even have to provide those. Those are provided for you. All right, the plane comes fully assembled. The only thing that I had to do was slot in the landing gear. That was it. The prop, everything is already attached and ready to go. You get the transmitter. Mine is a mode 2. The throttle and rudder are on the left-hand stick. You get a manual, and the manual is really good, and it actually shows you what is on what channel. All right, so I also get the little USB battery charger. The batteries are 1S 400 milliamp hour 20C lipos. They have the little flat white connector on them. You get a spare prop and a spare prop adapter. You get a screwdriver. And you also get a cable with a micro JST connector on it on one end and a JR connector on the other end. And I think that is because the board will also has 2 external ports for receiver, one DSM port and one SPPM port. It is multi-module supported. It does have the main protocol V761. We've seen that a lot with a lot of these micro Warbirds. The sub-protocol on this one is TopRC. The batteries, mine came, as I said, the 1S 400 milliamp hour 20C lipo I have weighs 11.4 grams, and I had 2 batteries. I have the 2 battery version, but I think there's also an option to order it with 3 batteries. Okay, so the 1S batteries I received weigh 11.4 grams. The airframe without the lipo weighs 65.8 grams, so my all-up weight is 77.2. I think in the specs they stated 75 grams, so it's pretty close, very close. All right, so it's made out of EPP foam, which is the most durable foam I've ever come across. I have the silver and blue version of the plane. There's also a yellow version, so those are options for you as well. It has the V761 6-axis gyro with 3 different gyro modes. You get beginner, intermediate, and expert, which is manual mode. It's a full 4-channel. You get aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder. The wingspan is 450mm or 17.7 inches. The length is 312mm or 12.3 inches. The range is around 200 meters, and this little plane is going to be really small at 200 meters away. I probably won't be flying it more than 100 meters away. Flight time, it states, is 12 to 15 minutes, but the way I fly my planes is probably going to be around 10. The motor is a 1020 coreless motor, and it also uses a gearbox. It's a brushed motor and gearbox setup. The prop is a 5-inch prop. I do not know what the pitch is on that. The main board is a 4-in-1 board, so the ESC, the servos, 2 of the servos, the elevator and rudder servos, the gyro, and the receiver are all on the same board. I think the aileron servo is separate from the board. All right, the servos, you have 2 1.3 gram servos. I think those are the elevator and rudder servos. You have 1 2 gram servo, which is the aileron servo, because that single servo actuates both of the ailerons. And there they specify the all-up weight is 75 grams, 2.6 ounces. Mine is very, very close to that at, what was it, 77.2, I think. All right, so we're back at the beginning. Let's take a look at the manual here, I want to show you some things. So charging with your USB charger. When your battery is charging, you'll get a red LED light. When the charging is complete, the LED will turn green. That's how you know that your battery, your LiPo, is done charging. The transmitter takes the 4AA batteries that they included in there. This is like a generic manual for their micro warbirds. There's a couple of things in here that are specific to, I think, the BF-109, and here's one for the P-39. Now, on this plane, there's no screw attachment for the landing gear. It just all slots in, easy peasy. You make sure that before you go out and fly it, you bind up to it, put it in expert mode, check all your control surfaces to make sure all your control surfaces are in a neutral position. That your ailerons, your elevator, your rudder. I always make sure that all of my control surfaces are in a complete neutral position before I launch my planes the first time. And then, you can trim it up from there, but you always want it neutral to begin with, okay? And it's showing you all that. The manual is very informative. I like it. All right, so if you have something that is not in a neutral position, one of your control surfaces, these little loops right here are your trim loops. So, if you can either expand or contract that, with the pair of needle nose pliers to make the control rod shorter or longer, depending on what you need to do with your control surface to get it into a neutral position when your sticks are centered. Okay, those are your trim loops. Same on your ailerons. You got 2 trim loops on your ailerons. Okay, here are the functions of the transmitter. The top button is a 1-key takeoff. It is also your 1-key aerobatic button. All right, you have a LED indicator. You got a 1-key U-turn switch, which is normally your throttle. Your throttle trim switch is your 1-key U-turn switch. Okay, so first you have to use that switch to record the direction in which you're going to launch your plane, and then if you use it while you're in flight, the plane will make a 180-degree turn and come back the opposite direction from which you launched it. Your throttle and rudder on the left-hand stick, mode 2 transmitter. You have your rudder trim down here. You have your gyro switch on the top. It's a 3-position switch. When the switch is pushed all the way forward or away from you, that is expert mode. The center mode is the intermediate mode. It's less restrictive on your bank and pitch angle. With the switch pulled all the way forward, that is your beginner mode, where it's the most restrictive on the pitch and the roll axis. Okay, your elevator trim is right there. Your aileron trim is right underneath the stick, and the right stick is your elevator and your aileron, and then your on-off switch. The 1-key aerobatic feature: while you're flying, you wanna press down the button while the transmitter will start beeping. While the transmitter is beeping, if you move your aileron stick to the left, it will do a left roll. If you while it's beeping, if you move your aileron stick to the right, it will do a right roll. If you while it's beeping, if you pull back on the elevator stick, it will perform a loop all on its own. So that's how you will use the aerobatic button. On the 1-key takeoff, you want to bind up to your plane, but I don't think, according to the instructions, I don't think that you want to arm the throttle yet. So you're going to power on the plane. You're going to press the button, which is your stunt button. For the 1-key takeoff, you're going to bind up to the plane. You're going to press that button. When you hear the beeping sound, you're going to move your throttle stick all the way up, full throttle, and then hand launch it. And that's how you use the 1-key takeoff. The 1-key U-turn, as I was stating, after you're bound up to the plane, you want your plane facing in the direction you're going to launch it. You want to hold the trim button up or down. I don't think it makes a difference. When you hear the beep, you know it's recorded the direction in which you're going to launch the plane. You depress that button again while you're flying, and it will perform a 180-degree turn. It's not a return to home button. All it does is turn the plane back in the opposite direction in which it was launched. I want you guys to be aware of that. Good. Everybody needs to know how to calibrate their gyro. You need to calibrate your gyro before you launch it the first time. Okay, so place your model on a flat level surface. All right, you're gonna power on the plane, and then you're gonna power on the transmitter. When the transmitter is bound up to the plane, you're gonna get a solid red light right here, your power light. Okay, you do not want to arm the throttle at that point. You don't want to move the stick all the way up and all the way down to arm the throttle. All you want to do, once you're bound to it, you want to hold the sticks to the bottom outer corners and hold it there. I think I had to hold mine there for about 3 seconds. And you'll hear a beep and you'll know that the gyro has calibrated. And then you can go ahead and arm your throttle and go launch your plane. All right, there's a low voltage warning. So it says after flying about 10 minutes, like I said, my mileage is going to be a little less probably than most people's because I'm pretty hard on the planes when I'm flying them. But you'll get a continuous beep. This lets you know that the flight battery is getting low and it's time to land the plane. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so here's the information I was talking about. It shows you right here, you know, the main protocol is the V761, and it's showing you up here all the channels for the sub-protocol TopRC, and I couldn't get it to bind to the V761 protocol unless I chose the TopRC sub-protocol. And then I was able to bind up to it with my TX16S just fine, and everything is working. So channel 1 is aileron, channel 2 is elevator, channel 3 is throttle, channel 4 is rudder, channel 5 is your gyro mode. So you want that on a 3-position switch. You can set up channel 6 for calibrating. So if you want to set up a switch to mimic, you know, having the sticks pulled all the way out in the bottom corners to calibrate the gyro, ordinarily the stick movement on your hobby grade transmitter will calibrate the same way. I've never had a problem with not being able to calibrate it with my hobby grade TX, just pulling the sticks all the way down to the outer corners, like you do with the stock TX. That has always worked for me. Channel 7 is for your one-key aerobatic function, if you want to use that. Channel 8 is for recording your U-turn function, and channel 9 is for actuating your U-turn function. So it is very nice that they give you all of the channel information for all these different functions. TopRC is very thorough with this. I'm really impressed with TopRC equipment and aircraft. So this covers the Spitfire, the P-51D, the 109, P-47, P-39, FW-190, the X-Cub, the SF-260, and the one we're looking at, the AT-6. So this is true for all those planes. All those planes will bind up to your multi-protocol transmitter using the V761 protocol, TopRC sub-protocol, and here's all your channel and function information. Here's the main board, and so it shows you that it has a port here for DSM satellite receiver or SBACH PPM receiver. The 2 ports at one end of the board, and the one in the center is your SBACH PPM port, and the one closest to the corner of the board is your DSM. Stay tuned. I'm going to take it out and fly it first couple of times with the stock transmitter. As I stated, I've already got it bound up. I've already got it programmed into my TX16S. So after flying it, after demonstrating it a couple of times on the stock transmitter, I'll be putting it in the air for a couple of flights with the TX16S. It's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in the TinkerzLab.